leave it up to Colin and the Donovan, cause that's what's that? Let's get ready.
Now that we've mentally gotten happy,
yeah,
we're gonna go ahead and ruin our lives again by talking about the debate.
Yeah, and then we'll end with sports. We'll try and bring it back up.
So before we get into the nitty gritty, can I just ask you?
Yes.
As it began to unfold, what was your emotional response? What was your reaction within say watching the first 10 minutes? Once it actually started, I should say.
As with many things with the president, I cannot say that I was shocked, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like if I had to answer honestly, I expected his behavior to be pretty par with how it was in reality. But I always hope, that he's going to take the opportunity to try and get it together a little bit, do
you feel like he's like that in all the time in his regular life?
It's got to be genuine. At this point, 4 years of opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to rise above that type of behavior is never doing it. Yeah. So it has to be genuine. At first I thought it was a character, but I think it's genuine. I think that he just so much a businessman, so egotistical, so self-centered that it's just doesn't care. He's been so rich for so long that it's who gives a fuck,
It's totally disconnected.
Yeah.
So would you say that, obviously no one will really ever know, but in your mind, would you have picked that out more as a deliberate strategy? Or kind of from what you're saying, it sounds like more you think that's just kind of who he is, period.
I think that his performance is partially a side effect if he was telling the truth, because he was saying that he wasn't preparing. He wasn't doing, fake debates. He wasn't doing prep debates or anything like that. So I think it's partially that's a side effect of that. If he really wasn't doing any debates prior with anybody,
I'm just going to go in like a bulldozer.
Then that's part of it. Part of it is you're contradicting yourself because you didn't even have a consistent line of logic that you're going to follow while you're out there. You just fucking went for it. And so anything you saw to take a shot on, you took the shot. And that's part of why he interrupted so much. Because when he debated Hillary, he interrupted, but nowhere near like this.
I didn't expect that.
No. It was, in this, I was genuinely surprised at the point that Chris Wallace said, close towards the end, he was like, your campaign agreed to 2 minutes of uninterrupted speech for every topic, just for this. All of the other 13 minutes or 12 minutes of 11 minutes, of this segment, you can say whatever the fuck you want because that's the open discussion. So I can ask you not to, but if you're going to interrupt, it is what it is. But you agreed to 2 minutes. The fact that he was unable to shut the fuck up for 2 minutes, because on a lot of that shit,
but realistically, it was he couldn't stay silent for more than maybe 10 to 15 seconds.
It was bad.
If you were actually to put a stopwatch to it,
I
think 10 to 15 seconds is very reasonable to the longest pause that he had.
And there was a fair amount of times in which Joe Biden was fucking himself over. And if he would have just been allowed to just go, he would have done it himself. But because President Trump felt like he was unable to contain himself, take a shot, he couldn't even just allow.
Couldn't let it happen.
That would have been a better debate strategy for convincing people to vote for him if he would have allowed Joe Biden to exhibit himself why he was incapable of being president.
And I think
instead
that's probably,
you try to just take all these shots, which just make you look like an asshole.
And I think if this guy, I am not a psychologist, but
we are not doctors
I am
here
right
at
now.
Salt of the Streets. Let's just put that out there right now.
From a layman's perspective, knowing the little tiny bit I do about psychology, right? This man is a egomaniac.
Oh,
period.
yeah.
Right? He is. I don't think there's much real personality within him. I think he is about 90 to 95% ego. Period.
They were saying that they gotta say his name as many times as possible in the morning briefing so that he'll fucking pay attention to what they're saying.
And whether or not that's true, I'm not gonna
Who
say,
knows?
but I think his behavior exhibits that.
Yeah.
And I think this debate is probably, especially if he wasn't doing debate prep,
Right.
and it was just went into this thing like he does everything else, because he is good at riffing. He can just do it.
He's a fucking comedian, bro.
he is a
stand-up
master.
comedian. The
100%.
timing is impeccable.
Yeah. When
And that
he
was-
gets up at his fucking rallies and talks for 3 hours, maybe 60 minutes of it is on
Yeah.
a prompter or something like that. The dude just, he knows how to play to a crowd. He knows how to just be the center of attention and be in charge like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anything else to him.
I was,
You know. And so, sorry, the point I was going to get at
Yeah.
about him being an, basically all ego is his ego is so intense that he can't allow someone the pleasure or acknowledgement of even like in the purely colloquial political suicide. They can't even, his ego can't let somebody kill themselves. He has to kill them.
right.
He can't let them just step back and take care of it himself and bury themselves by whatever it is they're going to say.
Yeah.
He feels like his ego needs to be there so he could take the kill. And I think that might be, just from what I saw in the debate, which was, it's a terrible strategy because he's about the worst person to try to deliver anything that he actually thinks.
Yeah.
But he's not good at expressing himself or describing ideas or, a lot of different things. But I think that was my take anyways.
Yeah.
Out of that whole thing. And I wonder if do you think that has any validity?
I think it has to.
Right.
It's
in some factor.
it has to play some factor in it.
Because otherwise, what do you do? I mean, you're not, if you won't give somebody enough rope to hang themselves in the political sense,
Yeah.
which is usually the smart thing to do, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, and I think that you're right, because we've seen in the past, he wants to attribute credit always to himself.
Mm-hmm.
It's always things that he's done. I did this. They even talked about it in the debate when he said, like, I've done more for black people. I've done more than anybody else in history for black people, other than maybe the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
I
The possible exception of Abraham
I
Lincoln.
almost pissed my pants when I heard him say that, because I wrote it down
You kidding me?
because I listened to it live. It was during one of those press conferences for Corona, and I almost pissed my pants. I laughed so hard. I was at work. I had to go back and listen to it again and we talked about it in one of these episodes, because I fucking laughed so hard. I could not believe that he had said that. And
Right.
so, I mean,
Because it seems so obvious. Who does that?
yeah. So you have to be right about the egomaniac part.
Remember what happened to the Beatles? They're like, oh, we're bigger than Jesus. And what happened?
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
it don't work out that well. Like, you can't be better than everything else. People don't like to hear that.
Yeah.
Because by doing that, you're essentially, if you're putting that off in the language that, whatever you're saying, right? If you're putting out that vibe that I am just better than everyone, especially this guy right here, it's off-putting to almost everybody, because nobody likes to be told they're lesser than someone else.
Yeah.
Especially when they're somebody that's so elite that they're in a completely different world. It is so off-putting. I just don't think that should be underestimated.
And I think that it's possible, kind of to the point of him being an egomaniac, that he, for so long, has made his money off of the news cycle.
Yeah. Just
That
attention, media
that-
attention.
Yeah, even as president, that's still like a big focus, and that's evident just in his tweeting and stuff
Yeah.
like that, saying things that he knows for certain are going to, catch
Fire
wind.
and fury.
Yeah,
baby.
yeah, and so I think that plays a factor in that. Is just anything for more time in the spotlight. And
Yeah.
It-
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
it's not good.
Yeah.
You know.
I think that's kind of why I wanted to ask that right off the beginning, because I feel like that's something that should be almost flushed out a little bit before you
Yeah.
talk about anything that happened within the debate, because that energy, that persona, that presence ran throughout the entirety of everything, and it affected
Yeah.
every topic that got hit.
And I want to throw in real quick. I for sure, and I'm pretty sure you did too, live tweeted this debate.
I tried.
I've
To
we
say,
do the
I
best that
drank
we
so
can.
fast, I drank so much so fast,
and
that
we
I didn't trust myself.
and
on
we
Twitter anymore.
usually do that for events like this when there are
Yeah.
big things that are on, and so just so that everybody knows, a lot of our initial takes come out in the tweets, right? And so you can find that. Our Twitters, I'm at Salt of the Street on Twitter. He's at Big Bird Offie, and that's on both those things. I'm at Alpaca_Donovan on Instagram. You find all this on our website, Salt of the Streets, YouTube at Salt of the Streets, Instagram at Salt of the Streets, Facebook Salt of the Streets. It's all there. But yeah, we do a lot of live tweeting during big events like this.